everyone, welcome to my booktube channel. I'm C1 and I love to read. Today I'm going to be reviewing The Cerise by Bailey Black. This is a book I received from NetGalley. It was just published in February, and the TLDR, if you don't want to stick around, is that this was easily one of the worst books I've ever read in my entire life. I usually try to be positive and say nice things about books that I read, but this honestly just was bad, and I don't have anything good to say about it other than, you know what, it was short. This book is set in a kingdom where being a red-headed witch is illegal. Those who are, the Cerises, are hunted down, they're killed, their families are slaughtered, their villages are slaughtered, anyone who is even suspected of associating with them is slaughtered. And this is what has happened to the family and the village of our FMC, Kiara. Kiara is a Cerise who is hellbent on revenge against the soldier who led the attack, and we meet her when she is on her way to a tavern to assassinate him. On her way, she meets this mysterious man who can actually evade her powers of sensing when somebody is nearby. He just doesn't show up on her radar at all. And they walk to the tavern together, and he quickly becomes forgotten about during the fray. She meets up with her best friend Ezra, who offers her a disguise to fit in with the sex workers at the bar, and she goes to find her prey. Unfortunately, things go south pretty quickly when Ezra ends up trying to murder Kiara, and she ends up being saved by the man she met in the woods, who takes her to this random magical secret village thing where there's a healer who declares him a lost cause and then sends him to the palace dungeons to be restrained until his death because he is violent. So the rest of the book follows Kiara as she attempts to rescue Ezra, and in order to do this, she ends up entering in this competition to become the prince's bride, because this is now the selection by Kiara Cass. And when she gets to the palace, thinking that this will bring her closer to Ezra, she discovers that the man she met in the woods is actually the prince, and she quickly ends up entangled in a love triangle between the prince and the prince's bodyguard. And then the book just kind of ends. So, first of all, the plot, it's very point form notey, by which I mean you can hear the gears grinding. It reads like the author had a random plot generator and she was just like, oh, now it says add poisoning. Now it says add love triangle. Check, check, check all the boxes. And we have it's just so painfully obvious that she's like, I have a series, I have my overarching plot, which is revenge. I have the plot of the book, which is rescue the friend, and I have the subplot of the book, which is this love triangle. The only problem is that absolutely none of these plot lines that get picked up get resolved. There are also all these elements that are kind of teased as potential plot points but never come to fruition. There's a virus going around that is spread through bodily fluids that gets hinted at as being something important. There's this girl who is coincidentally disabled because representation. And she is heavily implied to be a twist villain because she's way too insistent that this girl drink the wine. And there's the secret village that they go to with the healer, it's kind of set up to be like the prince is involved in some sort of underground something, but we don't know what. That's never fleshed out. I feel like this book should have been much longer in order to actually see some of these plot points through to their conclusion. But on the other hand, if I had to read more of this book, I would kill myself. So I'm glad that it wasn't longer. Another thing is that, remember how I said at the beginning that in this kingdom it's illegal or whatever. It's unclear if it's illegal or just severely frowned upon or what the deal is, but it's bad. It's bad if you're a Cerise. Being a Cerise is bad. Except not really, because that doesn't become relevant at any point during the book. Like, she's just walking around with her red hair, and people are like, oh, you have red hair. And she's like, I sure do. Maybe I should hide it. And they're like, no, it's fine. I don't care. We don't care. He doesn't care. She doesn't care. Nobody cares. And I'm like, you had one job. You couldn't even stick to the basic premise of the story. That's really all I have to say about that. The characters were extremely one-dimensional. They were basically just puppets of the plot. They only did anything because the plot necessitated it. And there was a lot of telling and no showing. For instance, we're told that Ezra is Kiara's best friend, but we see them interact once and it's for like 2 pages, and then they go their separate ways, and then he's under a curse and tries to kill her. So there's really no evidence that they're best friends. We don't get a flashback that shows them being close. We don't get any sort of indication about why they're best friends, what draws them together, why she's so insistent that she must rescue him. And honestly, it makes me feel like the entire book is just a side quest. And I don't understand why this side quest is here. We could skip this. She could leave him to rot. He did just try to kill her. It's kind of implied that he went to an evil witch, made a deal with her, and then put a curse or a love spell or a something on this disguise that he gave Kiara, because he's been not so secretly in love with her for years, and it's not reciprocated, and he's like, this is my chance. I'm gonna like put her under a love spell. That is a betrayal of trust. People under love spells do not consent. I will die on that hill. You cannot change my mind. And that is a huge breach of trust. So her best friend betrays her trust, tries to kill her, and then she's like, oh, well, I have to save him even though he's going to die soon. I can't let him rot in the dungeons. Yes, you can. I feel like this entire book is a side quest because it becomes all about rescuing Ezra, even though she doesn't do that by the end. Because the entire book gets taken over with this plot within the plot within the plot, focusing on this love triangle between the prince and the prince's guard and Kiara. And no, I cannot remember the names of the prince or his guard, but it's so random. Like I said, it's like the author had a random plot generator give her a checklist of things she had to include in her story, and she was like, love triangle, got it. The first time this love triangle is introduced, Kiara has a panic attack, and the guard responds by kissing her, because that's definitely a normal reaction to someone having a panic attack. I'm also convinced that people having panic attacks cannot give consent. So that's a little concerning. The guard and Kiara have interacted 2 times, and there's no chemistry between them. Sparks are not flying, and we've seen 0 indication that the guard has any interest in her. Fast forward a few chapters later, she's kissing the prince, and this, for some reason that is not clear at all, really freaks her out. So she runs away from him, goes back to her room, and then sleeps with the guard. It's so random and contrived and unbelievable, and I didn't get the sense that this kiss with the prince made her go, oh, actually who I really like is the guard. I have to go profess my love to him. I didn't get that sense. I was just like, I don't understand how we got here. This is not clear at all. So many things. I have so many questions. And also, on top of that, it was the worst smut I've read in my entire life. I couldn't believe that I had to read it with my eyeballs. And I have to tell you, at the end of the smut, they've just finished doing it, And Kiara says, "I'm sorry I peed on you." And the guard says, and this is absolutely true, "Oh, princess, that's called coming." And on that note, I gave this book 2 stars. I thought it was awful. There was no character, there was no plot, it was 300 pages of mumbo jumbo, and that was both not enough time and it was way too much time for everything in this book. I wouldn't recommend it. I thought it was absolute garbage, and not in like a fun way, just in a trash fire way. I know I went absolutely off on this book, but I really didn't like it. I really don't have anything nice to say about this book. So, don't read it, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.